Education Week started on Sunday, and the president of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Dr. Mark Smith, made it clear the JTA will not accept the Jamaica Teaching Council bill in its current iteration. So the question begs, what is in the bill that is the proverbial red rag to the bull that is the JTA? Well, who better than the Minister of Education to answer this and other questions? This is Lead Story on this Monday here on CVM TV. Let's start the show. Welcome to Lead Story on this Monday here on CVM TV. My name is George Davis. Good to have you with me once again. Now, since last week, we've been talking intensely about the Jamaica Teaching Council bill, consequent up on the decision in the Senate, well, not the decision, the move in the Senate to approve the draft legislation, 38 amendments, and crucially, it must be said that the bill passed through the Senate after getting bipartisan support. Yeah? Both sides of the House agreed with the premise of the bill, what the bill sought to achieve, and there were 38 amendments to it. It now moves to the House to be approved, and the reason it is going the reverse way, as the Education Minister has said previously, as the Minister, she's in the upper House, so of course she has to pilot it, so she had to do it there, and then it goes to the other place, as they say, for passage, and then the completion of the legislative leg. But before that, in case you came in late, in case you don't know what the excitement, or may we say brouhaha, because that is certainly brewing around this bill. In case you've been under a rock, this is the issue at play where the Jamaica Teaching Council bill is concerned.
Jamaica's education sector is changing a lot, with both progress and problems. Led by Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, the country is working to update schools, include all students, and teach good values. One of the most notable efforts in Jamaica's education reform is the push towards incorporating technology in the classroom. Minister Morris Dixon says it's important to improve science, technology, engineering, arts and math, STEAM education, so students are ready for the future. A big goal is to get all schools to have stable internet access and integrate AI in the classrooms. This helps students gain technical skills for the future, but many rural areas still struggle with poor internet access. Currently, the government is working to make education more inclusive, especially for students with special needs. Minister Morris Dixon supports better teacher training and stronger rights for these students, though there's still a lack of trained special education teachers. Despite the push for modernization and inclusivity, the education sector is facing pushback over the Jamaica Teaching Council JTC Bill, which has raised concerns about what lies ahead for teachers and students. The bill seeks to establish a regulatory body for the teaching profession and sets higher qualification standards for educators. While this is seen as a step towards professionalizing teaching, the proposal has raised concerns among some stakeholders. This just happens to be one of the main challenges currently plaguing the sector. Still, there's need for more teacher training to meet modern classroom demands. Many in the education system are asking for reforms that raise standards, but also consider what teachers and schools can realistically handle. President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Dr. Mark Smith, has called the bill, as it is currently, a betrayal to educators, promising that the association is prepared to take any step necessary to prevent it from becoming law. We discuss on Lead Story. Angela Melville for Lead Story.
Thank you, Angela. After the break, the Education Minister on matters concerning her portfolio, not just the JTC bill, but of course we'll talk about that as well after these.
All your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. We've got everything, stocking top brands like CNCs, Philips, and Allen Bradley. We guarantee quality and reliability. Shop with us and save with even free island-wide delivery. Conditions apply. Visit us at Shop 8 Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10. Call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in electrical business.
Hey you know all the people in your business?
You should take advantage of CVM TV's unbeatable small business advertising package. Trust me.
And get your goods and services in front of your customers today.
For $150,000, you get a high-quality professional commercial.
Plus 20 prime-time commercial spots.
That's massive exposure at a fraction of the cost.
Including on the #1 morning show in Jamaica, Sunrise.
So don't wait. Call us on 658-208-5377 and see your business goals happen right here on CVM.
Back with us here on Lead Story, the Education Minister, Senator Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon, my guest. Good evening, welcome to Lead Story.
Thank you for having
Welcome
me
back.
and happy 1-year anniversary.
Thank you very much, quite in order. It's not fashionable anymore to put elephants in rooms, so I won't say that the JTC bill is the elephant in the room that I want to address and move on. But
Yes.
we are duty-bound at the top to talk about it, given the expressed militancy from the JTA president to say the current iteration of this bill is unfit for purpose. It's a betrayal of educators and that he has a raft of problems with it as it currently is.
That's unfortunate, George, because we've gone through this process for 21 years. And I think when I go around and I'm at the supermarket or at the pharmacy, people will say, my gosh, it's taken this long for us to get here and there's still opposition to it. So we've gone through 21 years of this. 6 different ministers have worked on this JTC bill. I think everybody believes it's important to raise the standards. And so I don't think anyone is opposed to the bill. I think there are some things apparently in the bill that some people may have an issue with. And that's unfortunate because we had 45 meetings of a joint select committee. That's very disciplined because in Jamaica we tend not to have that many meetings. And that was over 2 years. And we had about 15 different stakeholders presenting their positions, and then all of those positions would have been debated by the team that had opposition and government, ministers, it had senators, it had MPs. It was a broad group of people looking at it, and then they had a joint select committee report. And the joint select committee report was the bill. And so it's quite unfortunate that we'd get to this point where we pass the bill in a bipartisan manner in the Senate, and then we are now faced with these questions. Well, from last week, I've been asking the JTA to please give me the list of their concerns. I'm still waiting for that letter. They have not sent me anything. I think they prefer to do press conferences and so on than to actually, send through what their official issues are with the bill, because I would love to know what those are, given the process it's gone through. And I think it's really a very strong governance process. You'd think that you would be able to get consensus. But I am encouraged by the fact that the churches, for example, that are a key stakeholder, they're supportive of the bill. And we've also heard the Parent Teachers Association very supportive of the same bill. And the JTA is not as supportive of the bill. And I believe that a part of that could have been them not necessarily being in touch with the teachers as much as they should have to explain what was happening, or even being in touch with the process, because there are 45 joint select committees. All of them are aired on TV, live or online. So all of them are there. And if you didn't miss it, you can go and watch it. So after the JTA would have presented, they would have, the committee would have gone through their representation. And what happens in a joint select committee, and it's good for Jamaica to know how this works, there's a matrix that's done. And in that matrix, you kind of put all of what your stakeholders have said. And then you talk about it and you say, what do we think about this? Do we agree with this? Do we not agree with that? And so that process is also televised. So as you're going through, if you're watching it, you actually know where the bill is going. So my question is, where was the JTA during those 45 meetings? So they came and they presented, but then it seems like they never watched one more meeting. Because if you were watching, you would have known what was in the bill, because that's all that the Joint Select Committee was discussing. And as I said, televised, live, every single one. This is great governance.
I hear you on that. All right. I have limited time, and I'm tempted to go deep into it, but there we go. But here's where I want to start. And as you rightly say, we could talk about a million things where education is concerned. But let me tell you, I don't think mentally I've moved on from looking at statistics last year, which indicate that we are failing, floundering, we are bad. Math, English language, numeracy and literacy. And I heard you speak about literacy recently. And I'm saying to you, Minister, what are you doing to lift significantly, not incrementally, the level of numeracy and literacy of the students we have in schools, especially the ones that we are transitioning from primary schools into secondary schools, passing on the problem to the first form teachers?
All right, you are speaking my language. And that's what I want to be debating. Not a JTC bill that had 45 committee meetings that the JTA seemed to only have thought they should only go to one. What I want to talk about is how we're going to transform this education system for our children. And that's what I'm doing day in, day out. And so literacy and numeracy, we cannot, as a country, be happy with the outcomes that we see from our children. I see too many children leaving high school who are not literate. We cannot have an education system like that. And so I'm committed to reform. I was on the Patterson Commission. I spent months going through the data, looking at the problems. It is a crisis. And so what we're doing now is saying, what I'm saying to Jamaica is, we have to focus on the fundamentals. Let's start with that. Let's start with no child leaving primary school not able to read. You should not be leaving primary school unless, we have children with disabilities where that will happen. But no child should be leaving school.
And how does this not happen under your
So what we're going to be doing now, we are going to be timetabling reading. So in September, the timetable changes for primary schools. Many people don't realize that reading is not currently on the timetable. So for grades 1 to 3, it is going to be timetabled. We're also going to be using some of the summer to train our teachers in terms of being, improved in teaching reading, because that's a big downfall. And so we are starting, we're printing the material, we're changing everything to ensure that reading is central, and we're going to be testing more in terms of reading. But that's at the primary level. But I still have students in high school that already went through the system and are not literate. And that pains me. And it pains me especially for our boys. Because can you imagine a young man, 13, 14, 15, not able to read, sitting in front of class, and the teacher says, go to page 50. He is not going to want to. And he doesn't want to admit that he can't read. So he's going to act out. So you have the violence in the schools, you have the misbehavior. We've failed him. And so we need to reach them too. And that's why we've identified the 56 schools that are high schools that have this issue. And we are intervening in those schools intensely. So over the Easter holiday, they would have had maths camps in those specific schools. 56. That's the ones we focused on. And you have math leads in the schools from the ministry going out to work with the teachers. They're working with them on literacy. We set tests each week so that the ministry can see how they're doing. So we're intensively hand-holding those schools. And this is our first year of doing that.
Right.
Obviously, we're learning some lessons here, what works, what doesn't,
Right.
so that we can fix it again for September and do it even more intensely. One of the things we found with that group...
Hold that point. Hold that point. One of the things you found with that group is where you'll start
Yes.
from when we come back for the second half of the show. This is Lead Story here on CVM TV. The Education Minister is in the house.
Join my private room. Only $1,000 for a grand time.
That I know me. We never said that. But who going to believe me?
That is correct. $4,350,000. Yes, go ahead. $4 million? I never approved that.
Yes, me go doctor tomorrow. So me have to get the money today, no longer. Then no me face that. We never make no record or beg nobody no money.
Deepfakes are AI-generated images and videos made to look and sound like people we know and trust. They're used to spread misinformation, destroy reputations, and are used to commit fraud and scams. Don't fall victim to deepfakes. Protect yourself. For more information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or scan the QR code on screen.
In a world where innovation meets tradition, agriculture is evolving like never before. From the latest sustainable farming technologies to age-old practices passed down through generation, agriculture is
precious to me.
I love the animals. I don't mind getting my hands dirty. I love working.
Join us right here on CVM TV every Sunday during news at 7 as we explore the people, the science, and the breakthroughs that are shaping the way we grow, eat, and live. You don't want to miss it. This is Farming Forward.
Back with us on Lead Story on CVM TV, talking with the Education Minister, Senator Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon, talking about literacy and numeracy. Those, for me, are the two most primary concerns. We're talking about things that are in need of improvement in the education sector. She says at the primary level, what they're going to do, they're going to timetable reading from grades 1 through to 3, going to ensure that there is captive time for reading. Teachers will be trained to deliver reading in a much better way than they do in the piecemeal way. And it's going to be structured and organized. That training will occur over the summer, and she says that there is intervention where numeracy is concerned in high schools. 56 high schools where the students are struggling worst with numeracy. She says that a program has already begun. Over the Easter break, training happened, and she says the results from the 56 schools on the trial, of course, will be extrapolated to the rest of the school population to ensure that where strengths are, they are shored up, and where weaknesses are, they are eliminated and turned into strengths. I want to come to you with the example, Minister, of a school I'm going to mention by name, not because I'm beating down on the school, but because it stuck with me. Father Clark at Holy Trinity, the leader, the principal, speaking about getting 100 and odd students at grade 7 level, and only about 5 of them being able to read at the grade 5 level. And I'm saying, you cannot live in a society that does that, because it is society doing that to children and feel good. So I'm asking you, at the high school level, where that is concerned, what are you doing about it?
All right, and I'm glad that you gave the Holy Trinity example. And that is an example of really great leadership. I think the board and also the principal must be commended, because they saw the problem and they didn't just push the children through, right? They said this is a problem and we're going to do something. And they developed this concept of a grade 7 academy, and the ministry has endorsed it, and we're working with them. Because the reality is, if a child comes into high school, and one of the things in Jamaica, we like to pretend that things aren't a problem. And this is one where we need to stop pretending it's not a problem. It is a problem. Students are leaving primary school not able to read. And so they said, instead of giving them 11 subjects or whatever number of subjects you have in first form, let's focus on numeracy and literacy. And the ministry said, yes, that's a perfect solution. Let's work on it and let's work together. And it's that kind of intervention that we're going to be doing across other schools. So there's some other literacy programs that we use, or there are a couple that we use in our schools that we now know based on data that they work. And so we can roll those out across more of our schools so that we end this issue. So we're going to end it with children leaving primary school because we have to, but then we do have to remediate in the high schools. My hope, well, not my hope, my goal is that there won't be need for remediation in high school 5 years down the road, because the children will come to high school being literate. So that's at a minimum. And we may have to make changes. We will have to make changes to PEP. In order to facilitate
I heard
that.
you say that.
And I have said that. We are going to make the changes that are necessary to facilitate all of this.
You know, one of the other things that gets my goat where education is concerned, when I read in the newspaper letters to the editor or even columns talking about the lack of functioning labs in schools. So, I mean, well, I went to high school a long time ago in the 90s, and when back in my time we had wire gauze, Bunsen burner, conical flask, these things. And I'm saying, hold on. So you're saying that there are many labs in Jamaica that lack these things, lack a Bunsen burner, lack. So what are we doing where that is concerned? And aren't we, again, the state, shortchanging those who are vulnerable, who it needs for the next cycle of workers, not investing as much into them? Are you curing the lab issue as well?
I am curing that issue. And that actually, the issue with labs, I got to understand that through going to schools. And I like going around to the schools. I've been to over 30 schools and just to see. And also like talking to the teachers. Sometimes you get from the teachers really what the issues are. And that came out quite a bit in relation to the labs. And that's why for me, I'm going back to JTC, you know, that's a little bit of a concern for me because I am very consultative and I like hearing from the teachers because I can't be minister in my office. I have to be out there and they tell me what the issues are so that I can fix it, which is why I'm very excited and longing to hear the JT's issues with JTC Bill so I can fix it because that's how I work and that's how our government is. We listen to people. And so they've said the labs are an issue. And we now have a program where we are going to be addressing labs, and the good thing is we've gotten funding for the program, so we will be able to put in the physics, the chemistry, all the equipment across our labs across Jamaica. So that's going to be done during this financial year. So I'm very excited about that because you can't call yourself a STEM country if you don't have your science labs in place. But that's one element. We also have 14 technical high schools in Jamaica, and when you go to them, their labs are completely broken down. So if you go into the welding lab, it's ancient equipment from the 60s, or in their construction lab, very ancient stuff. And so we have an agreement with HART. So we have 400 million this year that we're going to be using for all 14 labs, and each of them at the technical schools. And we're going to be putting in specialist labs. So some of them may get robotics. Some may actually get, you know, robotics plus aerial robotics elements. And we're also looking at new emerging technology that they can have in those labs too. So we're doing it on multiple fronts. So this year is going to be a transformational year for education.
The students that you preside over as Minister of Education, are they being fed well enough in the schools through the nutrition programs, especially for those who come from poor people houses?
No, that's the reality.
What are you doing about that?
It is, the nutrition issue is another one that we are working on. So we spend about $9 billion a year on nutrition programs in schools. And those are geared towards our children who are on path. And so they'll get a meal in school. Do we need to do more? I think we do. And actually, the reason I brought up the schools, the 56 schools that are underperforming, those children in those schools tend to come from socioeconomic backgrounds that need more nutrition support. And so what we've agreed is that for all those schools, we're going to add breakfast. So the students now get lunch under the government program, but we're also going to add breakfast. So we're not just intervening with the lessons over the holidays. We're also intervening with their nutrition to add more food. So and some children don't go to school because of the issues with buying lunch.
But are you at risk of being outflanked by the opposition, though, who said in the budget debate that, look, they're going to be giving more meals than this administration is currently doing?
Well, you know, I don't engage in that kind of political thing, but the reality is, if you follow the timelines, it is clear that I made the announcement before they did their budget debate. So it feels like they're taking our ideas, and it's funny, in the ministry sometimes people say, but it sounds like they're just saying they're going to do what we're already doing. So we're doing a lot. We're already doing much, and we're going to continue to do it. And we care about the children.
Yeah.
That's the key thing, is the children. Are they getting what they need? Not any of the political talk out there. It's about really the children.
My producer says 1 minute. So we started with it, we end with it, the JTC Bill again.
Yes.
So 20 plus years later, 6 education ministers, and we're at this point.
Yes.
One big step away from the little ancillary bits that need to be done.
Yeah.
Are you going to go right ahead on the current pace, or are you going to pause and wait for the JTA to catch up?
No, look, as I said, we are a listening government. We listen to people. And if our teachers' union has an issue, we will listen. Last week, I was in schools. I was in schools both in St. Mary and also in Manchester. And I went into the staff rooms and I took questions from teachers in the staff room about the bill and about other things in education. I am out there. I am talking to our teachers. I'm talking to our stakeholders. I meet with the JTA every month. Every single month. Next week, Wednesday, is our meeting schedule.
So maybe you'll get your list of concerns.
So hopefully I'll get my list and I will go through it. And that's the key thing, is that we want the best for our country.
Yeah.
And I will listen. I'll see what their concerns are.
Last 20 seconds, what do you want to say to Jamaica about the work that you and your team are doing at the Education Ministry?
All right. The children of our country deserve an education system that allows them to reach their full potential. You and I are sitting here because we've been the beneficiaries of the best of the education system. What I'm working on, what my goal is, why I left my nice job in the private sector to come in this
And it was
place,
a nice job, yes.
to come into this place, is because I want more Danas, I want more George out of our system. And our system isn't delivering that. And my goal, morning, noon, and night, is to deliver that. And to deliver that while talking to all the stakeholders, while being present, while being in our schools. Because I believe that the only way that we're going to deliver the outcomes we want is through that hard work and through all of us working together.
Hear you on that. Time has been called by my producer. Senator Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon is the Minister of Education, and she didn't even scratch the surface yet, but time has elapsed. All right, gonna make way now for the news at 7 with, is that Nika? Oh yes, it's Nika. Yeah, Nika Lewis is here with the news at 7.
People, we now waste no time.
I am super excited to be on for another season to show you the Holy Road.
Listen, new adventures. Slim, get fluffy. Let's go. We're not going out, Things are only getting hotter and hotter this season.
Click, pow, that must tell you something.
There's a great story happening just in our backyard. We are on the Holy Road again.
So, I'm sure you took her to a doctor, and what did he say?
He said that she had a hole in her heart. She's a blue baby.
I thought I would find my papa, but I didn't. I found Uncle Jungly instead.
I will divorce her. It's what you want.
Ganga.
Brought to you by
Hyundai or Hyundai.